If you've been watching content in Generation 9 for Pokemon Draft League, you've probably heard a lot about Landorus-T being kind of a fraud. And a lot of that is because it's lost some key moves, it's lost knockoff, rock polish, a lot of the things that enable it either offensively or in some sense utility defensively as well. But today we're going to kind of talk about why this Pokemon is still one of the best Pokemon that you can draft in Gen 9 Draft League, especially as a defensive option. It's still one of the best Pokemon to fulfill that role and one you have to really consider when going through your draft. So if you're excited for today's JJDL Draft League video, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you have not already. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers this year, and every subscription helps a ton towards hitting that goal. So today we're going to be talking, as I said, about Landorus, going through our 3 games in JJDL. This is going to be the last JJDL video for kind of a while, and that we have playoffs coming up. We're currently on a little bit of a break. We'll get into that in the last battle. But the playoffs kind of going to be very long over the course of the next 6 or so weeks. So the next video will probably be out in a month. We'll see how I do that video. As you guys probably know, the next Draft League is not until November now. Draft stream for that will be on November something or other. We'll get into that as the days get closer. So let's get into this game. We're playing against Alphan here. We're currently 5-1 going into week number 7. The goal going into kind of this last set of games here is, one, we want to lock in the first seed, because that means we get a bye straight to the team finals. And a bye straight to the team finals is super, super crucial. That gives us a nice break, a nice little reset for the mental, and allows us to go fresh into the finals with a chance to win a team championship, something I have never had the opportunity to do. We also have to play for our seeding individually within the team. So you have 12 players in each team. Who makes the individual playoffs is determined by who finishes in the top seeds of their teams. So we need to, go 2-1 or 3-0 here to basically guarantee to be in the top 3 of our team standing. So that's what we're playing for today. Let's get into this game against Alphan here. Going to the team that I am bringing. You see here he's got Keldeo, Overqwil, Decidueye, Sylveon, Quagsire, and Thundurus. Some of the Pokemon he's left on the bench, he left his first overall pick and our Chaladon on the bench, interestingly enough. I think our Chaladon actually has a good matchup into my team for the most part. I don't really have a powerful fighting type that punishes it necessarily, and it can be good against something like the Terapagos, sometimes into Raging Bolt. That's really good against the Greninja as well. Scizor is on the bench. Scizor, I kind of see I have Arcanine, which is just a really good lockdown threat into the Scizor. They also have Rain. Like, this is just like a straight up a Rain team. They have Pelipper, Barraskewda. They've elected to not go for that, which kind of makes sense. Thunderclap on Raging Bolt really kind of neutralizes a lot of the powerful sets there. And then, yeah, those are the only Pokemon that they haven't elected to broad. So essentially removing the Rain aspect and going for kind of a more Keldeo, Landorus-T offensively focused build. Looking into the team that I'm bringing, sorry for the the flash grenade there. Hydro Pump, Dark Pulse, Gunk Shot, Grass Knot, Expert Belt, Battlemon, Greninja just goes crazy here in this matchup. We're going to need to get a little bit of chip on that Sylveon because we don't have Protean. So we're going to want to see it in that like 50 to 60% range to really be able to proc a Battlemon on that. And our goal just is going to be to chip down the entirety of this team. We do not have great coverage for Keldeo. We have Grass Knot, so we're going to need chip on that as well. We have Assault Vested Landorus here with just Earthquake, Stone Edge, Crunch, and U-Turn coverage. As I said, like, this is just a really, really good defensive Pokemon in this matchup. We kind of expected the Archaladon to come, so that's why we're AV, really pretty much full spit up investment to kind of handle multiple Dracos from that Pokemon, and then allows me to just come in and actually answer something like the Landorus-T if I need to on a check. Screamtail is our rocker this week. We have Thunder on this set because, you know what? Hey, they're bringing a Rain team. I'm putting Thunder on the set. You know me. A guy like me is always going to run Thunder because Thunder's kind of fire here, honestly. Gets higher chances at a getting paralyzed, does more damage to like CM Keldeo, which could be relevant. And then Rock and Wish is pretty standard. We're bringing like really bot standard Arcanine, defensive Arcanine set this week. Nothing too complicated here, just to manage Scizor and Decidueye. We have very, very defensive Ogerpon as well this week with kind of a similar job of handling that Decidueye. Basically, handling the Decidueye this week. It also handles Barraskewda. We don't have a lot of switch-ins to Barraskewda, so very defensive Ogerpon for that as well. And then just heavy-duty boots, special attacking Raging Bolt here. Just to keep it simple. The game plan is to chip this team down and go for the kill go for the Jugular with the Greninja. Battlemon. Let's get right into the battle here against Alphan. We lead off with our Landorus. Landorus is a great lead into the Overquill. Specifically, they're just going to get up a T-Spike. T-Spike's really good against my team, and they get the Poison Point. Poison Point is crazy work. I am someone who brings a lot of boots, and I do have 4 boots this week. We do have AV Landorus, but that obviously will be immune to the T-Spike. But this will be problematic for my Greninja, so I can't really use Greninja in the mid-game now because I need to protect the HP on that Pokemon as best that I can to use it as my win con. So my opponent's just going to go for the taunt here, trying to play around the any Calm Mind variants here, which they do have Quagsire, so I at this point I really was never considering that in the builder. And then we can just go right back to Landorus, who got hit by the Poison Point, which is super unfortunate. So our only Pokemon immune to T-Spikes gets Toxic, but they debond early and we trade it off, which is a little bit unfortunate. Would have liked to have that for Thundurus if need be in kind of the late game, but this was really like a good Archaludon check. So yeah, at the end of the day, we're probably fine. I think at this point we just go into Raging Bolt here, just maximize our utility here. We do have Arcanine to come in on Decidueye for the fast Volt switch. The Poltergeist is going to do a measly 19%. Now, this is the first really unfortunate turn. Really want to get a Willow here off on this Keldeo. The main reason to do that is if this is CM Keldeo, it makes it just that little bit easier to manage, especially we have Dazzling Gleam, but we have Thunder on Screamtail. Like, we don't have the best counterplay to this Pokemon, to be honest. It could have been better with our Screamtail. I could have had Encore instead of Thunder. I wanted to be him. I'm going to be honest with you and run the Thunder. There's not really great reasons to just do that. So the Encore would have been obviously nice in this game. And we do see subs. So that's where the burn's going to really come in handy here, is actually punish these substitutes into the long game as we get a Dazzling Gleam off here. So really unfortunate that this thing is going to be able to get back up to 88% already. And my opponent's just going to go to the Quagsire as I get my Rocks up, because Rocks are going to be super good at punishing the Thunder. So you see Toxic come out here. One Pokemon that actually kept Toxic in this generation. Forgot about that one. But Thundurus here, we really want to punish that Pokemon if its choice specs from coming in frequently. And that also opens up all the calcs we need for Dark Pulse and Hydro Pump on Greninja after 1 Rocks. And I think Dark Pulse needs a little bit more chip, but it's going to be really important for the Thundurus. And unfortunately, we get Toxic here as my opponent just goes for the the Toxic. I go for the knockoff here. Ivy Cudgel, was kind of obvious here. But knockoff is super free against my opponent's team. They're switching to Decidueye, which takes 1,000,000 damage here. But knockoff is great to hit any of the other Pokemon, including the Quagsire on their team. I go for the U-turn here now, just get the knockoff into the U-turn, remove the Decidueye, and we're really starting to break through this team. But the problem is Sylveon's really, really annoying for my team, actually. I did not prep super well for Sylveon. You're going to see that the set that they have is going to be particularly problematic for my Sylveon. I do have Arcanine, which is good here, to be fair. The problem is I'm going to have the Morning Sun at some point to really start to take advantage of these turns. We get a Willow here that we hit against the leftover Sylveon, which is nice. Kind of the same idea with this Keldeo. If they're going to be leftovers, we want to punish that with the burn and basically remove that item for me useful the rest of the game. And they revealed to be Calm Mind, and this is where it starts to get a little bit dicey with our game plan. So we need this Sylveon to kind of get into that 60% range to be in threat of Greninja Gunk Shot. Now, luckily for me, Flare Blitz is still doing a ton here, like 35 plus the burn. We're really happy about that. Like the Wish is obviously going to be pretty good here, but we're just going to have to be mindful because we have Wish Protect. We're only going to have 24 Flare Blitzes. Like, we do have enough PP, we just need to be mindful of that. They go for the Wish here. And I really want to get the knockoff on this Pokemon, just remove the leftovers and just remove this thing from being a problem. We do get a knockoff here, though. It is Boots on Thundy, so they do get a free switch into the Thundurus here, but we do remove those Boots for later. I do just have to sack this Pokemon off, though. There's no Barraskewda, there's no Decidueye now. I don't really have a switch into this Sledge Wave that I want to go into. And unfortunately, this Sylveon is going to continue to be a big problem in this game, because now we don't have a way to knock off the item. We have Rocks up, we have Burn to handle the leftovers, but we don't really have good ways to break it. Encore Screamtail would have been really nice here, unfortunately. So maybe a little bit of a misprep on my part to have the Draco, or the Thunder on that. I go over the Discharge here, kind of predicting the Sylveon to come in. I just drop a Draco here, and it's going to do about half to this Quagsire. And the leftovers, it's going to pull some HP back, but I can just go into Screamtail here on the Sylveon as it comes in, and this is unfortunately a free turn for them to start going for some Calm Minds as well. They elect not to here as they get a Wish Up. I really want to keep the HP high on my team because I'm going to really need to leverage all of my HP to be able to beat this Sylveon here. And we're going to have to stall their wishes too. They've got 12 left, and if it has to come to it, it has to come to it with the stall. I go for the Flare Blitz, get a little bit more chip, and the burn here, so a little bit of a justice for missing that Will-O-Wisp. We get a Flare Blitz burn on Keldeo. Now this Pokemon is certainly always going to end up being in range eventually of this Greninja here in the end game, which is super, super good for me if we need to use that as a target for the Battle Bond. Now, we can't go for the Greninja win game yet because the Sylveon is at such high HP. That's just not going to be, realistic as I just go for the Wish here. Try to get some HP back on this Raging Bolt, they call that, though. Go for the Earthquake. I get the Min Roll, which is super nice, but it only brings me to 50. So I'm going to have to drop a Draco again here to try to kill this. And it goes right into Sylveon, unfortunately. I could considered Volting there. Volting would have been a hard play, like a pretty baller play. But we outspeed, so there's no reason to get over-aggressive. That's kind of one of the things, if you're thinking about making these type of plays, aggressive plays, if you get it wrong, getting it wrong here, it just means dead Raging Bolt, and I don't have this to leverage against Keldeo in the future. If I get the play, if I just drop a Draco, they go Sylveon, I'm faster. I just get the Volt Switch off, so really no risk to getting the Volt Switch, the Draco play wrong here. As I can just get my Arcanine in for free, go for a Flare Blitz, put it under pressure. If I get a crit there, obviously that's super nice. And they just go for the Wish here. So my goal now, as you see me go for the Morning Sun, is I gotta be careful with my Flare Blitzes here. They're super important to keep this Sylveon low, but I want to make sure that I don't run out of them in comparison to their wishes. Now, that's going to be pretty difficult for me to do that. They have like 10 wishes. I have 19 Flare Blitz here. But, if I hit too many of these Flare Blitz into the Protect, I should have gone for maybe a Willow there to preserve my HP or to preserve my PP there. That it could get danger pretty quickly. So we do have to be mindful of that. They go for the Protect here. I go for the Flare Blitz again. As I said, I should be more mindful of the PP that I have here and just go for Willows or Extreme Speeds. But we're keeping this Pokemon low. As I said, the sweet spot for this Pokemon is in that 50 to 60 range to die to E-Belt Greninja and to get my Battle Bond off. We got a Morning Sun turn on here on this Protect, which is nice. But this game, as you can tell, is just going to start to be a little bit foolish. They make a switch here. They go into their Quagsire on the Flare Blitz. Any burns? No burn, unfortunately. But this is kind of an annoying Pokemon to switch into because they're going to have to recover. This is an interesting double on my opponent's part to go Keldeo. Not really sure about what this play got them because now they go into Quagsire, and I'm going to get a Wish off here. I probably should have just Dazzling Gleam to put the pressure on this Pokemon. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it wasn't dealing enough, so it didn't actually matter. But, maybe I should have threatened the Grass Knot if I had it, is what it is. But this Pokemon also being at high HP is kind of annoying. Not really, though, because Grassland's just going to be able to just kill this Pokemon immediately. So it's all about keeping that Sylveon low as possible in this game. And I think at this point, I'm just sacking off my Screamtail here. They're just going to go to Sylveon on the final turn as I get a D-Gleam off. They're going to be at the 70... They're going to get to, 68%? And now we go into Arcanine. So this is not in range yet of Greninja, unfortunately. Greninja range is in the 50 to 60. So we have to go Arcanine here and play the Flare Blitz game again. Wish for a crit, stall them out of wishes. Like, this is just kind of going to be, this is sometimes what you have to do in Mons. We're used to Gen 9 being super, super offensive and just like clicking buttons and being really aggressive. But sometimes, like especially in this format, you just got to lock in a little bit more and kind of play the long game. You see me Willow on that turn specifically to be mindful of the PP. I have 13 now. They have 7 wishes. I Flare Blitz a few too many times. So I got to start actually being mindful and not throwing away my Flare Blitzes here. They go here to Keldeo on the Flare Blitz, which is good for me because this should be an extreme speed range, which I go for and pick up the Keldeo. So that's unfortunately one Pokemon that would have been Greninja fodder out the way. But we'll take that. They go for the Toxic here on the Arcanine here. I go hard Raging Bolt. I need to make sure that this Arcanine stays at full HP or stays at max utility in this game. Unfortunately, they get the Draco play right again. But I'm always Volt Switching here. And they're going to go into this Pokemon again, get the Volt Absorb back up. So I'm in a really, really awkward spot. So obviously Draco into Sylveon, I'm fine just going for the Volt Switch after. But now they get this Thunderous out of range of the Greninja, which is really, really awkward as I go for the Sludge Wave. So I got to go back to Arcanine here and just go for the Flare Blitz. I'm running out of turns to actually get this, Greninja Battle Bond off. But they're going to let me attack here, which is interestingly enough. I don't go for the E-Speed. I need to preserve this as a target for the Greninja Battle Bond. But this opens up the opportunity. Last Mon in. We've saved all our HP for this moment. They're going to go Quagsire here on the Dark Pulse. It's going to do a decent amount of damage, but at this point, it's kind of checkmate. They don't have enough pivots to get through this, and especially where I just Grass Knot here. They stay in, the Battle Bond up, and at this point, they kind of know that the game is in the bag. +1. We're in range of not +1 anyway. They're going to try to gain some HP back depending on my set, but we do, with no attack minus nature, which is neutral, we're going to be able to kill this at +1 with E-Belt every single time. The Thunderous is going to come in, eat this Dark Pulse, and that is a good game. In game number 1, we move to 6-1. As I said, our goal in this split of games is to go 7-2 at minimum. That'll basically lock up my ability to make individual playoffs no matter what happens in the finals if we make it. So let's move to the next game. All right, on to the next game against Cold as Ice. Well, that's a fire username, by the way. His team consists of Gengar, Tinglu, Terapagos, Gujar Hisui, Enam, and Hawlucha. On the bench, Swampert left. I think Swampert's actually kind of a pretty decent into my team. Obviously, I have the Ogerpon, but if you get aggressive with Ice Beams, it's really nice. It is kind of a target, though, for that Ogerpon and a target for Battle Bond Greninja, which is not great. They have their own Arcanine, but I have Greninja, Lando, Raging Bull. I got a lot of free turns against Arcanine there, unfortunately for them. And they have Jolteon left on the bench, which Jolteon is not a good Pokemon. So, especially into Raging Bolt and Landorus and Terapagos, not a lot of things that Jolteon is ever going to be able to accomplish here. So, they brought their best 6. We look at my team that I brought here. We're bringing Calm Mind, Toxic, Terapagos, very especially defensive this week. That's to kind of win a little bit of a Terapagos mirror here. We get the Toxic off. That's going to feel really, really good to start Calm Minding up on that Pokemon. We got Battle Bond Greninja again. We got Low Kick here to hit the, the Gujar Hisui, going to be really important there. Surf, Dark Pulse, Ice Beam, all the coverage in the world we need. Otherwise, we do just have very, very standard Ogerpon boots, getting some spikes up. Spikes are really good into this team. Obviously, Enam and Hawlucha are going to be immune to the spikes, but spikes just neuter the Terapagos if it is leftovers, because that's going to put it, remove its ability. Really good against Tinglu, Gengar, and the Gujar Hisui as well. And then just generally good coverage moves. Knockoff is obviously a very powerful move in draft. And then Low Kick is just nice for that Gujar if they want the Gujar to be a switch in. We got Full Fizz Def Landorus this week. Full Fizz Def Landorus, really good lockdown Pokemon into Hawlucha. And we're especially offensive this week, I should say, before I can actually figure out how to speak. Special is really good here because Psychic is great coverage into the Hawlucha. And then Earth Power is going to be, decent, against both the Gengar and the Gujar Hisui. Earthquake might have been a little bit better there, but we really like the Psychic because Psychic gives us a good move against the Hawlucha. And then Earth Power is good enough against everything else. This is also a rocker this week, which is super important. We have a Jetpack Raging Bolt. And one of the things I'm going to do a video on that'll be coming out at some point is talking about these eject pack, eject button style items, and that they need a game plan to really work here. And this is kind of, this team is really good at enabling a eject pack. I think I've used it twice this JJDL season, including this game already. What it's really good at is enabling Battle Bond Greninja. You can make so many scenarios that just work with Battle Bond Greninja. Discharge is pretty free to click against this team for the most part. And we're going to want to click Discharge primarily because, while Tinglu might want to come in, we do have good ways to get into Tinglu, like our Landorus, which is start getting some chip off on that. So with electric moves being great moves to click here early and Draco later, really good opportunity to use a check pack to get our Battle Bond Greninja into position. And then we just have a standard specially defensive Screamtail with Encore because they have a Terapagos, so we need more prep. And then they could have Calm Mind Enamorous here, of course, is always a possibility. But let's get right into the battle. They're just going to lead up the Gengar. I lead up the Ogerpon. I decided not risk the speed tie. I'm not going to get crazy with it here. I'm just going to go to the Terapagos. My opponent also decides they are not messing about with a speed tie. We're getting a lot of switches here. Damn, we're switching everywhere. They go to Hawlucha. I'm going straight to Lando, and they go into... That was way too quick. I don't know why it sped up there. We switch on every turn so far this battle. They go to Gudra. I go here. They don't want to risk an Earthquake and I'm going to get a U-turn up, get some chip here. As I said, chip on this Ting-Lu is going to be really, really important. I'm just going to go for the knockoff here. Knockoff really good on the Ting-Lu because it's leftovers. That's going to make these U-turns even better to open up a Greninja endgame with the eject pack later. And knockoff here on this Pokemon's either going to remove a Scarf or removes a Power Herb, interestingly enough. So that set is going to be basically neutralize the rest of this game because it's not going to be able to get Unburden. It's not going to be able to kill my Landorus, and Landorus is going to be able to kill with the Psychic. So great knockoff there on my part to remove that item from the Hawlucha, and now Landorus is just cleans that setup. Big threat out of the way. They're going to go right into this Pokemon. I'm like, all right, I'll take more chip on this. I need the chip on this to enable my endgame with the Battlebond Greninja. Those spikes are going to be a problem if you look at my team this week. I only got 2 spikers, and I don't got spikes in my Terapagos, which is the main, or I don't got heavy-duty boots in my Terapagos, which is the main thing this week. I do get a knockoff on the leftovers here of the Gutra, and I go to my specially defensive Screamtail. Spit up Screamtail is kind of nice here. I don't really have a lot of use. I have some decent use for it with Terapagos and Enam, but it's kind of also my best Gutra-Sui answer, especially where Ice Beam is so free on this turn. I go for the Thunder Wave, trying to catch something like the Gengar, trying to get aggressive, the Enam, trying to get aggressive and get a sub, even the Terapagos potential. They're going to stand in Heavy Slam and boom, do 61%, which is not what I was looking for. But I do got the Rocky Helmet, so I'm going to be able to go into my Landorus, get a little drop here, and put some pressure on that Pokemon's HP. And you know what I got to do to him. I got to U-turn, put that, put this Ting-Lu into such a problematic spot. It's at such low HP now. The Draco into the Battlebond is going to be super, super effective here. And this was a really throw turn. I should have low kicked here. I don't know why. I felt compelled to Ivy Cudgel thinking they would stay in. I get hit by the Sap Sipper. Sap Sipper is crazy. That made me make sense in this spot. But especially with Heavy Slam. Like it's going to do a massive amount of damage to whatever comes in. I go for the low kick. Yeah, if I go for the low kick into low kick, I'm in a good spot. I still live, which is nice. I'm able to kill Dana with the low kick, but I wouldn't be able to preserve full HP to use this against the Ting-Lu later in the battle. But then they go into this, which is interesting. I knock off a Choice Band, which is huge for me. So maybe they're trying to play to Scarf here, I think is what they were maybe trying to play to. I was thinking maybe setup was going to make sense. Scarf also makes actually like a lot of sense into like just regular Greninja sets here. But those sets could be taken advantage of by Terapagos. But I guess Physical Scarf also made sense. So I just was honestly planning on just sacking this Pokemon off and getting the information of whether this was Scarf or not. But getting a knockoff on the CB is actually massive for this game. So this is much less of a threat now. I'm able to go into my Landorus. Now, look. Do I have a justification for going Landorus instead of going Greninja? Look, I don't. I got nothing for you. Do they miss the play rough? Does that mean that I don't get punished for this play? I mean, who's to say? But should I just go to Greninja first? Yes, of course. Every single time. Oh, what a horrible play on my part there. It is what it is. That's just funny. You got to laugh at yourself sometimes. We're playing Pokemon. We're having fun. I go over the Ice Beam. I break the balloon, though, on this Gengar. And I got to make a decision. Do I pop my Battlebond just to get rid of this Pokemon? Do I need it for the end game? And my decision is I kind of don't. Greninja beats the other 2 Pokemon, Ting-Lu and Enam, kind of at this point without it. Terapagos is the threat here, though, coming in. I got to decide, what am I doing about this Terapagos? Am I staying in? I got low kick for other Mons on this team. Low kick's obviously not killing here. It's like, I'm thinking here, do I go for the Dark Pulse flinch? Do I go to my own Terapagos here? Really interesting spot. OG Albino watched this game, and Ant, they watched this game, and they kind of thought I should have Dark Pulse to go for the flinch. But I like to go into my own Terapagos, and the reason I decided to go to my own Terapagos here, I'm like, if they're Calm Mind, I've got the Toxic, so I can win this war here. They go up there for the Rapid Spin to get the speed, because they think they're like, nah, I got this. I'm going for game. I get the speed up, and there's nothing you can do. JK, buddy, I got Toxic, and this Pokemon is now on a timer. The Terra Storm did a lot of damage here. I did not think it was going to do that much damage. I think I must have miscalculated or something. And I think what happened here is I had this stupid like baby form in the calc. So I'm like, I'll just go for the Calm Mind here. Because you know what? Like, I'll just be able to live one, get a little bit of a better hit off. Yeah, it turns out I'm calcing in the wrong form like half the time with this Pokemon. They got to remove that form from the calc, honestly. Zarel, if you're somehow watching this, remove that form from default in the calc. Make the Terrestrial form at least the default, or even the Stellar form, because it's the default in VGC. No one's calcing with that other form. It's never taken damage. So I'm kind of in a spot, I'm like, well, this is awkward. I guess I'll go into Raging Bolt now. I should be able to live a hit. My opponent knows that I'll be able to live a hit. And I just go for the Draco, and I miss. I don't even get my eject pack off here to get my Greninja back in, which is super unfortunate. Now, at the end of the day here, the Throat Trap's going to come out. The Rocky Helmet's going to deal damage. I should be fine to win this game anyway, because of the fact that like I have so many ways to just pressure this Terrapagos now that it's poison. And I just go into my, what's it called? My, what's it called? I can't think, Screamtail at this point, just to get a little Play Rough. We're Play Rough here. Why were we Play Rough in this specific spot? What do they have in their team for Play Rough? I guess it does more damage to Tinglu, and it has more of a chance to break sub on Calm Mind Enam, just to push the rest of the damage through on this Terrapagos. But at this point, we got enough Pokemon to just be able to win this game. I go Raging Bolt first, because if they go Tinglu, I can just Thunderclap the Enam. We expect it to be 4 attacks in this spot, considering that it is Choice Banded. So I can just go for the Draco Meteor here. Obviously, it's going to be immune, but the Thunderclap is going to be able to pick up the knockout. I assume the crit didn't matter here at this point. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because the game is over. So really, really dumb play with my Landorus there. I should have just gone right into my Greninja and just not been bad at Pokemon. But, you know, hey, it is what it is. You know, that's the game we play sometimes. And we pick up a win to go 7-1 in the JJDL. And this, in terms of the context of the season, guarantees us for individual playoffs, which is super awesome. I know 7-1, not a record you would think would guarantee you for individual playoffs, but the second place team after team playoffs only has 3 players go to playoffs. So we really need a good record to guarantee that. And at this point, we go into the final game of the JJDL regular season against Jamal. Dude, everyone was super excited for this game. They wanted Jamal to smoke me. And we essentially really needed to just like win a few games to guarantee first seed. And this is like one of the last games to be played in the regular season. And I can confirm we are in team playoffs in the finals for JJDL, which is super exciting. We got a 2-week break, and then we get our finals game. So I don't know when I'll upload that one. We got individual playoffs after that, but that also locks us in for individual playoffs as well with that game. So let's get right into this game against Jamal. Not a lot of stakes on this one except bragging rights. We got to win, right? We got to beat Jamal in the JJDL. We got Rock Polish, Terra Starstorm, Meteor Beam, Power Up set here with our Terrapagos. We're going crazy with the Terrapagos set this week. I guess before let's not skip too far ahead. Let's talk about what Jamal benched. He benched our Chaladon. Another person benching our Chaladon against me. Are people that scared of Registeel? This is like the first time I brought Registeel all season. So our Chaladon bench, Ogerpon Cornerstone, the best lead in Draft League bench. I was scared as hell of that Pokemon. I gotta be honest with you. Ogerpon Cornerstone, I don't know what it is about this Pokemon, but it has like been really good against all of my drafts recently. I don't have a lot of good answers to that Pokemon. Landorus-T, another Pokemon, we saw that in week 7. Really good against my team. They kind of leave it, which makes sense. It's a target for Battle Lone Greninja, which is a little awkward. They bring Swampert here, and yeah, they bring the rest of the team. So our Chaladon, Ogerpon Cornerstone, and Landorus-T are on the bench for my opponent. As I said, we got the Rock Polish, Power Herb, Meteor Beam, Terra Starstorm, Raging Bolt, or not Raging Bolt, Terrapagos set this week. We're trying to get a sweep here. Terrapagos has been putting up a little bit better numbers after we called it a fraud. I think it's still kind of a fraud, but I have Greninja and Raging Bolt as kind of better options to kind of make it work as a third option. We bring X-Repel, Battle Bond Greninja for like the 3rd week in a row. It just wins here in a lot of situations against this team. There's so many things that I can get procced against. As soon as his team is chipped, this Pokemon just goes crazy and wins the game. AV Raging Bolt was kind of important here in this matchup for stuff like the Greninja. It's a good way to check. Yeah, you can check the Greninja. Good against stuff like the Thundurus and the Archaladon as well, mainly. But both those Pokemon didn't come, so that's a little unfortunate. This set loses a little bit of its utility. We got Screamtail here. We got Play Rough to pressure that Greninja, which is super important. And then we have Grass Knot for the Swampert, because that's going to be probably a common switch into this. And then Wish Protect just to keep some longevity on the team. We bring in the same Rocky Helmet set that we brought last week against Hawlucha. We bring it in again. We bring in the special set. A little bit more Spit F this time because we do have an Archaladon to contest with. And we do have Earth Power, which is actually really nice against Archaladon specifically because the stamina boost will get in the way. And then we got Registeel here Restock Iron Defense could be a really, really powerful set, depending on what Jamal brings. But let's get right into this battle. This is a super interesting one here. Crazy nickname, by the way. I don't know what Jamal is speaking to here with this nickname. I'm going to lead with my thing. I don't want to risk any sort of Scarf knockoff nonsense or Scarf like Ice Beam craziness. U-turn damage is negligible anyway. I go right into my Screamtail. They go for the knockoff, so I'm just going to throw a Wish up and get into my Raging Bolt, and it's time to start putting the offensive pressure. But against the heavy-duty boots user of all time, they bring T-Spikes, and T-Spike's actually pretty good against my build. So I'm a little bit frustrated with that. Good prep on Jamal's part. I think good prep on Ant's part, actually, to bring the T-Spike into me here. I go for the Draco, not a jetpack, so we're just going to use that as good chip. And I'm going to go into Screamtail and get regular poison, which is super frustrating. And he's Rest. Rest Swampert. Wow. Unfortunate for me. That's good prep. I had to, waste a turn Draco Meteoring there. But I get the information, which is kind of what matters here. On the rest, we're going to go into Landorus here because we kind of expect this just to be physical rest talk. I kind of expect the EQ to be last move here. So Landorus should wall this Pokemon eternally. And honestly, I kind of expected a double at that point, to be honest with you. But I'm going to be able to bring this Pokemon in. They're just going to go for EQs. But as I said, I do got that Grass Knot to deal massive damage. And I'm not risking a roll here, though. I could have gone for it there, but I'm not risking Jamal getting a high roll on me, and I'm losing my Screamtail early. So we go right back here, kind of finally predicting a switch to come out here. We get the Jirachi, and I'm going to go right into Registeel here. And this game is just kind of getting quick here. We're doing a lot of switches here. Goes for the taunt, which is good for him, and I get the psychic damage off here. As I get the second T-Spike off, which is kind of nice, actually, for me. So the reason I kind of like that is it's a little bad into Terapagos, but our setup set kind of means that the damage will likely be the same, but it's really good for my Greninja and my Raging Bolt, I think, because it allows me to leverage them in the mid-game a little bit better, take less damage here. But the Psychic is going to be nice, get to put good damage on that Weezing, and I get a nice U-turn on the switch into the Jirachi to get my set up Registeel going. We're going to start getting these Iron Defenses up, and this Iron Defense is going to eat these Earthquakes from Swampert. They go for the knockoff just to get rid of the leftovers. I'm getting them up. I get another one. Give me the second Iron Defense. That EQ 16% is crazy work. Give me the fourth. I'm going for the fourth one. Why not? I go here for the Body Press, and that Body Press is now 2 KO on the Weezing. We are fully Spit F this week. So these could have been doing a little bit more, but we needed the Spit F. And now we come to a little bit of a moment of truth. Are you Specs or are you not? Go for the Focus Blast. It is Specs. So I had to check him on that, because if I get the rest off there, this set can go crazy the rest of the game. I think it was worth the risk. I don't have a great switch into Focus Blast, to be honest. I'm going to be able to get the U-turn off here into my Screamtail and get another Wish off. But I decided to go for the Grass Knot. I want to keep this Pokemon low as possible. And I kind of expect them to feel like they have to rest on this turn. Force them into a rest. And it's not great to force them into a rest. We lose our Screamtail here. Now, Screamtail wasn't really doing a lot here, and we're going to have to go into Landorus, but this Swampert set is actually kind of putting in a lot of work against my team. I really just need to keep it low for both the Terapagos and the Greninja to be able to take advantage of it. So I probably should have just wished up maybe on the last turn. I'm not 100% sure, but we're getting some good damage here. As I said, this Landorus actually just walls this now. So I'm able to just put pressure with Earth Power onto this Pokemon. I do take the opportunity on what is surely a rest turn to get my rocks up, though. Rocks will be super nice into Gardevoir, open up the Terra Starstorm, Calyx at +1, and then nice against the Greninja to open up those Calyx at +1, or at +0 as well for the Meteor Beam. They decide to go here into the Hawlucha, interestingly enough, to eat that Earth Power. Yeah, I mean, I guess it makes sense. It maybe PP stalled me a little bit, gets a free turn into the Jirachi, but I'm smarter than Jamal. I'm going to get the U-turn off. And I decided at this point, it's like, I need to break this team somehow. My win con is going to be the Terapagos. Terapagos kills Gardevoir, Hawlucha, Greninja at +1. So I need to use my Greninja to start making some headway here. I go for the Dark Pulse. They stay in. This is like full Spit F almost. Like crazy Spit F. And they got a powerful U-turn off. So that's super unfortunate. Masterly EV from Jamal here. And they go for the Vacuum Wave, Specs Vacuum Wave, good bring here. And now I'm in a little bit of trouble because I broke through the Jirachi, but I haven't broken through anything else. Kind of what I was hoping for. I'm going to get an Earth Power or a U-turn off here onto the Jirachi, which is nice. we're going to be able to hopefully get this Pokemon out. They go for the Icy Wind, which is odd. I'm not really what I would have expected. And I get the Volt Switch out here into Landorus. So we're really opening up this Terapagos endgame. This Terapagos endgame is looking kind of nice here. I have to go Raging Bolt here. I can't give them Battle Bond. They are Protean, which is nice for me. And they are Life Orb, which does start to open this game up a little bit. They do switch out here because I do realize that that is going to be a target for the Terapagos here if they let that Pokemon stay in. I'm just going to drop a Draco here, let this Pokemon die to Toxic while this is asleep, and now put it in range of the Landorus. Now, I could have just gone to my Terapagos here, but the thing is, if they rest on this turn, it's really, really bad for me. So I just got to go for the Earth Power. Puts them at 3. They're going to rest again. But they don't. They actually go for the knockoff, interestingly enough. I thought they were going to rest on this turn. I was really going to be in trouble. But they do give me that Pokemon. They're just going to go into the Greninja, get the Ice Beam off here, which is really good. Now, this is where the end game comes into play. Everything is in range here. So after an extra set of rocks, this is in range. This is in range of the what's it called? The Meteor Beam. Every Pokemon is in range here. So Terapagos is going to be able to come in. Because these are T-Spikes, I do got the Terra Shell ability to take this next hit, which will allow me to set up the Rock Polish. I'm Toxic. That prevents me from getting frozen here on this turn. And the Meteor Beam is going to allow me to start going crazy against Jamal's team. We got everything we needed to set up the sweep. We lived the Vacuum Wave after the next round of Toxic as well. This Pokemon comes in. It's probably Scarf, but we're outspeeding that at +2. Goodbye with the Terra Starstorm. And we get to beat Jamal to go 8-1. In JJDL to go into playoffs. Oh, JK, my apologies. I shouldn't have spoken too soon. Jamal gets the crit with Choice Specs Vacuum Wave to end the game. What a funny way to end the game. That crit actually did specifically matter in terms of the outcome of this game. It doesn't matter in terms of anything else, really, in terms of my season, in terms of our team season. So happy that it didn't matter at the end of the day for that. So, if we got crit and we had to play another week, I would have lost my mind. But hey, we'll take that. Team Star is into the next round. We are into the finals of the Team JJDL Civil War tournament. That's going to be super excited. Make sure to join John's server to watch those games live as they happen. As I said, my playoff video will be out in probably over a month at this point, given that individual playoffs aren't starting for a while as well. And I should have a bye in week 1 of that too. So a lot of buys for me. I'm going to play like 2 games of this in the next like 5 weeks. So, that's all I got for today's JJDL. We went 7-2 on the season. Really, really good record. Really happy with that. We'll take that every day of the week. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe if you have not already. We got a lot of good Draft League content coming your way in the next couple of months. I don't have a Wi-Fi league going on. That's going to be in November, as I said. So that's going to be super exciting. You're definitely not going to want to miss that one. So a lot more variety of content, a lot more showdown stuff coming your way. So we'll see you guys all in the next video. And as always, have a wonderful day.